Green screen keying is my weakness. I would love a long video on this. Ask and you shall receive. Welcome back to the channel. I'm Daniel Schiffer, and despite the title of this video, I am not a VFX artist, nor am I an expert when it comes to green screens, but I do know a thing or two about video editing. By now, you have probably heard of a special effects tool known as a green screen. Placing a green screen behind your subject on camera allows you to easily remove and replace backgrounds to create new environments or scenes. Green screens, of course, aren't anything new, and according to a quick Google search, they've been around for almost 100 years. As many of you know, I make a lot of product commercials, and one technique I use quite often is called compositing, which in basic terms just means to combine various elements into one scene. But something I've realized a bit more recently, especially since I started doing more short form content, is that there seems to be a lot of confusion and misunderstanding as to when or how you would use a green screen or chroma keying to achieve a certain effect. Starting simple, let's say my goal is to get a basic shot of this product floating in the air. You've probably seen me do this before. We can simply record our product in front of a green screen with whatever sort of movement we like. In this case, we'll do a basic rotation. And of course, if your product is green or has green on it, you can instead switch to a blue screen. But we're gonna wanna make sure that we have some separation between the subject and the background to avoid having the color of that background spilling onto our subject. Additionally, you'll need to make sure that your green screen is nice and evenly lit. This will make it much easier to get a clean looking chroma key in post. Now, once you've got your shot, removing the background is as easy as adding a chroma key effect in the video editing software of your choice. And once you have removed the background, you can of course change it to anything you want. For example, might I suggest some stock footage from today's sponsor, Storyblocks. Storyblocks is an online subscription service that personally I cannot live without. With a subscription, you get unlimited access to their high quality, royalty-free stock footage library. I rely heavily on Storyblocks for both personal and client projects, just like this whiskey commercial I did where I needed an animation of horses running on this bottle. Let's be honest, I don't know the first thing about animating or how to create something like that, but thankfully Storyblocks had exactly what I needed and it worked perfectly. So if you're interested, make sure you go to the link in the description below or go to storyblocks.com/Daniel Schiffer to learn more. So there's our basic green screen effect. And what makes this effect basic is that there is no real interaction between the subject and its environment. The background is completely inconsequential to the overall effect. But what if we wanted to do something a little more complicated where the subject or the product is actually interacting with its environment? Now this time, instead of using a green screen to remove the background, we're going to be using a green stick to hold up our product, and we will remove it in post to make it look like the product is floating and pouring itself into the glass bowl. Now let's say we stopped right there and we're ready to edit our effect. We'll go ahead and add our keyer to the clip, and wait a second, something isn't right. When we remove the green stick, we are left with this hole, this big void. If you're a talented VFX artist, this might not be a huge issue for you. You could probably fix this pretty easily, but for the rest of us, this is going to create a massive headache. To avoid this issue, what we have to do is record an extra shot called a clean plate. A clean plate is when we record the exact same shot with the exact same movement, only this time without our subject in the frame. That way, when we remove that green stick in post, we have some footage to put behind it to replace that void. Now that might sound easy enough, but there are some things you need to consider. If your final shot is going to have camera movement, you will also need to get the exact same camera movement for your clean plate, meaning you'll need some kind of motion control. In my case, I used a motorized slider. Now, if you don't have motion control equipment, don't worry, you could just do this with a tripod and then add some camera movement in post. But if you tried an effect like this with manual camera movement or doing it handheld, your clean plate will never perfectly match up with your original shot, making this effect borderline impossible. But once you've got your shot as well as your clean plate, you can go ahead and remove that green stick, put the clean plate underneath your original shot, and you get a final effect that looks something like this. Chroma keying and the use of clean plates are the basis of a lot of compositing techniques, so make sure you practice these techniques, try them out for yourself, and when you do so, make sure you tag me so I can see how you did. But thank you so much for watching this video. Make sure you like, subscribe, follow me on Instagram at daniel.schiffer. Happy holidays, happy new year, and I'll see you in the next video.